There was a movie that came out a while ago now named Magnolia. And if you haven't seen it, it's a really wonderful movie. It's one of those movies where they have a bunch of different characters and a bunch of different stories, and they don't necessarily seem related at the beginning, but then you find out they're all sort of tied in together. And there's this great scene, I won't spoil it, but this crazy thing happens that's weather related, and it just sort of puts all of the randomness of life into perspective. My favorite scene in the movie is when the whole cast uh, sings this song by Amy Mann called Wise Up. And the way that they cut the video, they're sort of catching each cast member kind of alone, uh, living their life, and they're singing like lines from the song. And the chorus of that song is, "It's not going to stop until you wise up." It's not going to stop until you wise up. Reminded me a little bit of one of the lines from Mumon's verse from case number 7 of the Mumon Joshu's washer bowls. It's one of my favorite koans. But the verse is, "Just because it is so clear, it takes us longer to realize it." I don't know if you've had that experience where there's a thing that life is trying to tell you over and over and over and over and over again. And maybe you see it, or maybe you don't want to see it, or maybe both. Or maybe you're confused because you don't understand what's happening and why it keeps happening. And it finally hits you, not because something extraordinary or special happens, but because you finally see it. Like, oh, right, I'm doing this. This is what I always do, and this is what always happens. And maybe people have told you, you do this thing, maybe you shouldn't do that. Or you're not doing this thing, maybe you should do that. Maybe you've told yourself. But then you see it. And you can't see it because it's just so normal, so clear, that it's hard to have it register. It just kind of gets, well, that's just who I am, or that's just what I do, or that's how it is. But it's not going to stop until you wise up. The koan, there's layers to it, with it, as there is with every koan. And this isn't the street legal interpretation of this koan, so take this with a grain of salt. But in this koan, a monk, new monk to the monastery, approaches Joshu, the master of the monastery, in all earnestness and asks, "I've just entered the monastery. I beg you, master, please give me instructions." And Joshu asked, "Have you eaten your rice gruel?" So a little aside, rice gruel sounds terrible. It's a rice porridge, or the Japanese name for it is okayu, which is sort of the traditional morning meal for monks in the monastery. It's actually not bad. I've been making some of it lately to try it. It's kind of the soft, very easy to eat, kind of like oatmeal porridge, but it's made of rice. So Joshu asks, have you eaten your rice gruel yet? And the monk says, yes, I have eaten it. And Joshu says, well, then go wash your bowls. Those are his instructions. What else is there to do after you've eaten your rice gruel? The thing about, I've kind of noticed about okayu is, once you eat it, it's kind of like this almost translucent, sort of like pearl-like substance. Like the inside of an oyster shell. You can't really see the shell part because it's covered in the secretions that make a pearl. Well, if you sort of don't clean your bowl right away, the okayu will form this like translucent film, and you won't even realize it's there. But once it's there, you got to really scrub it off. And boy, is that a good metaphor for the things that we need to wise up to. Like, we can't see it because it's so clear. It's like translucent. We don't even know it's there. But it's there. So I guess we have a choice. We can wise up now when it's, the habits that we create and maintain that drive our suffering are sort of easier. They haven't hardened yet. Or we can wait, procrastinate, put the bowl on next to the sink, and let our habits harden until we don't even know they're there anymore. And then finally we see it, maybe like it flakes or something, like, oh, what is that? And then we have to really scrub hard. Some of us have some scrubbing to do. I know I do. But may we all wise up a little bit faster and get in the habit of cleaning our bowls on a regular basis, not just for our own good, but for the good of all beings.